Fallen Heroes. It was just an empty building. The 80-year-old warehouse in the city of Worcester, Massachusetts, had not been used for a long time, but the building's 5 floors were not always deserted. Homeless people who had no other place to stay often slipped into the warehouse to get out of the cold. Sometimes these people stayed all night. That was the case on December 3rd, 1999. A man and a woman were staying on the 2nd floor of the warehouse. In fact, they had been living there for months. On this night, though, the couple apparently had a fight. Police believe they accidentally tipped over a lighted candle. The flames spread to some clothes and papers. The couple tried to put out the growing fire. When they couldn't, they panicked and ran away. They did not ring any fire alarms, and they told no one that the building was now empty. The Worcestershire firefighters were called to the blaze just after 6 o'clock in the evening. About 25 of them went into the warehouse. They went in to fight the fire, but they were also looking to see if anyone was inside. The firefighters knew that homeless people used the warehouse as a shelter. They wanted to save anyone who might be trapped there. When they got inside, they found the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors engulfed in flames. Still, the fire looked manageable at first. Then, without warning, it flared up. The heat, smoke, and flames were so fearsome that the fire chief, Michael McNamee, called for extra help. 10 more firefighters came to the warehouse. By then, the fire had grown even worse. The old brick warehouse was a fire trap. It was a maze of dark, smoky rooms. None of these rooms had windows. The lack of windows meant that the fire's heat was trapped inside. Large areas of open space helped to spread the fire. Also, the ceiling and walls had cork insulation. The burning cork added to the smoke. You couldn't see 6 inches in front of your face, said McNamee. All fires are hard to fight, but a fire in an abandoned building is especially difficult. That is because such buildings are often in bad shape. People come in and rip out the plumbing and wiring. They sell the materials for scrap, but that leaves holes in the floors and walls. Sometimes steps in the stairways are missing. Walking through such a place can be very dangerous. The firefighters had to walk through it in the dark while almost blind from the smoke. They knew they were risking their lives with every step they took. Soon, Fire Chief McNamee realized that his firefighters faced a nearly hopeless task. The fire was out of control, so he told everyone to get out of the building. Then he ordered a head count. By then it was about 7:30 p.m. McNamee wanted to make sure all his people were out, but they weren't. 2 men, Paul Brotherton and Jerry Lucy, were missing. Just then, McNamee received an urgent radio message. It came from the Brotherton. He and Lucy were still inside the warehouse. "Mayday, mayday," cried Brotherton. "We're running out of air." McNamee asked where they were. Brotherton said they were on the 3rd floor. There was no way the Worcestershire crew would just leave them there to die. The other firefighters had to try to rescue them. So McNamee quickly put together several 2-person search teams. These teams headed into the building to find Brotherton and Lucy. By this time, the smoke was so thick the teams had to use guide ropes to find their way back outside again. "We kept sweeping and sweeping and sweeping, and we still couldn't find them," recalled McNamee. "It's like being in a maze. 0 visibility. High heat, fire. That's what the search teams were facing." At last, McNamee told the teams to get out. He didn't want to lose any more people, but the nightmare was getting worse. 4 men from the search teams couldn't make it out of the building. They were Timothy Jackson, James Lyons, Joseph McKirk, and Thomas Spencer. So now a total of 6 men were trapped inside the flaming warehouse. A sickening feeling settled over the other firefighters. They knew their comrades were dying inside the building, but there was nothing more they could do. News of the fire had spread quickly. Hundreds of firefighters from nearby towns arrived on the scene, but they too were helpless to save the 6 men. Firefighters kept dousing the warehouse with water, but the fire had eaten through the entire building. Soon all the floors collapsed onto each other. All night the fire raged. The next morning, smoke and flames were still leaping into the air. At last, in the middle of the day, the flames finally began to die down. Only then could firefighters get inside the ruined building. They were able to recover the body of Timothy Jackson. But the wreckage of the building was so great that it took a week to find all the other bodies. The tragic death of the 6 firefighters stunned the city of Worcester. The day after the men died, Mayor Raymond Mariano said, "This morning the sun didn't rise. It didn't rise because last night we lost 6 members of our family." The fallen men left behind 5 widows and 17 children. Sympathy and money poured in for them. People were especially touched to learn about the fireman's prayer. This prayer hung in the home that Paul Brotherton had shared with his wife and 6 sons. The prayer read, "When I am called to duty, God, wherever flames may rage, give me strength to save some life. And if according to your will I have to lose my life, please bless with your protecting hand my children and my wife." Mourning for the dead men spread beyond the city of Worcester. The rest of the nation also felt the loss. It was the highest U.S. firefighter death toll in a burning building in more than 20 years. In fact, firefighters around the world grieved for the fallen men. More than 30,000 came to Worcester to honor them. Firefighters came from as far away as Ireland and Australia. As one New Jersey firefighter said, "We came to show we care." The 6 Worcester firefighters were true heroes. Mayor Mariano put it this way: "Heroes are not individuals who bounce basketballs or hit baseballs in front of thousands of screaming fans. Heroes are average men and women who reach out unselfishly to help those in need." Part A. So you're identifying the main idea, which is going to tell who or what the article was about, as well as what that person or subject did. One that is too broad is going to be vague, not give enough information. Too narrow would be just giving one detail and not really looking at the whole story. Number 1, in Worcester, Massachusetts, 6 firefighters lost their lives when they went into a burning warehouse to rescue anyone who was inside. So you're either labeling it as M, B, or N. Number 2, police believe that homeless people caused the fire in the Worcester warehouse by tipping over a candle. Number 3, a fire in Worcester, Massachusetts in 1999 killed 6 firefighters. Part B, remember that we need to highlight evidence, or if I end up using a Google form, then you will be providing evidence as to why you think it was A, B, or C. With recalling facts, it should almost be word for word in the text. Number 1, the people who started the fire in the empty warehouse, A, were homeless people who had been living there, B, called the fire department to report it, C, were some of the many homeless people in the building at the time. Number 2, when the firefighters first went into the warehouse, A, the fire flared up, B, they found some homeless people, C, they thought the fire looked manageable. Number 3, the fire spread quickly because A, the warehouse had dark, smoky rooms, B, there were large areas of open space, C, the ceiling and walls had cork insulation. Number 4, when the fire chief realized that two of the firefighters were trapped inside, he sent A, an urgent radio message, B, 4 firefighters in after them, C, several 2-person search teams in after them. Number 5, the loss of the 6 firefighters. A, was the highest ever in a fire in the United States. B, was the highest death toll from a building fire in the United States in 20 years. C, went unnoticed. Part C, we're making inferences. Remember that you're underlining evidence in the text or typing in what paragraph, what sentence let you or implied that this was either a correct inference or a faulty inference. Remember that the inferences aren't going to be word for word. They're just going to be indirectly in the text, and then you have to use your experience on top of that to know whether it's a correct inference or not. Number 1, the empty warehouse in Worcester was about to be torn down. Look at paragraph 1. Number 2, the city of Worcester did not know that homeless people sometimes stayed in the warehouse. Paragraph 3. Number 3, the firefighters would not have been killed if they had not gone in to look for people in the warehouse. Paragraph 5. Number 4, firefighters Paul Brotherton and Jerry Lucy couldn't find their way out of the building. Paragraph 9. Number 5, firefighters usually work in pairs. Paragraph 9. Part D, using words precisely. I want us still to use what we have been working on, which is S is for synonym, which I am forgetting how to spell. Instead of closest, A for antonym, for opposite, and D for different. Number 1, but a fire in an abandoned building is especially difficult. A, empty, B, run down, C, used. Number 2, just then McNamee received an urgent radio message. A, frightened, B, unimportant, C, very important. Number 3, people were especially touched to learn about the fireman's prayer. A, surprised, B, moved, C, unimpressed. Number 4, in fact, firefighters around the world grieved for the fallen men. A, were sad for, B, cheered for, C, heard about. Number 5, heroes are average men and women who reach out unselfishly to help those in need. A, dedicated, B, outstanding, C, ordinary. The last part is the author's approach. Put an X in the box next to the correct answer, or select it. Number 1, the main purpose of the first paragraph is to A, inform the reader about the empty warehouse in Worcester, Massachusetts. B, give background information for the story. C, express an opinion about the people who stayed in the old warehouse. Number 2, what do the authors mean by the statement, and the homeless couple told no one that the building was now empty? A, if the homeless couple had told the fire department that the building was empty, the 6 firefighters might not have died. B, the homeless couple should have checked to see if the building was empty before leaving. C, the homeless couple did not see anyone as they were leaving the building. Number 3, the authors tell the story mainly by A, retelling the personal experiences of the trapped firefighters. B, comparing the Worcester fire with other fires. C, telling the story from different people's points of view.